Okay, next question here is a question that we slotted in here because we've been discussing it sort of recently. When should I focus on a specific dialect for my language?
I would generally recommend as early as possible. The the challenge, it also depends on like how different the dialects are. So like the sound of British English and the sound of American English are very, very different. Like if you understand one of those, you does not mean you can understand the other, even if the words are exactly the same, just because of how different they are pronounced. It's especially true with like Scottish. Like I'm a native English speaker, and I can barely understand Scottish English. I usually have to use the subtitles when I watch like Scottish TV shows. So focusing your efforts on one dialect and really, really getting good at that is a what I would recommend to anybody doing this. The one exception is if you just like can't find enough content that you like in that dialect. So like for me with Spanish, I did not focus on a dialect. I like watched things from all over the place because I didn't register at the time that that might cause problems. And I was like, oh, I want to understand everybody. And as a result, like my speaking is just so weird. People are constantly like, where are you from? Because I like they say I sound like Spaniard Spanish, but I don't use Spain Spanish Spanish, or I don't use Spain Spanish in my speech. So it's just this like, weird mix of things. I'll also use like words from Colombia or like slang from Mexico, and it definitely like causes weird issues in my speech. I would also say that I don't have the like best understanding of any specific dialect right now because my experience is just across a whole bunch of different dialects. One of my next steps with Spanish is to focus down on just the Mexican or one of the Mexican dialects and accents just to get really, really, really good at that. Because I still feel like I'm lacking in that last bit. So yeah, I would say if you focus earlier on, it's going to make the whole process easier and faster. You'll understand at a higher level faster. You'll pick up the words much, much faster. You'll be able to understand the accent much faster. And when you start to speak, it'll be more consistent. So if you are the kind of person that can find everything that you want within a single dialect, then I would recommend just doing that. But if you need to incorporate things from outside of that because those are the things you're actually interested in, then by all means, feel free to do that. Just to we try to prioritize interest and engagement. And so if you feel like limiting yourself to one dialect is hurting your engagement, then that's when I would make the exception.
I just wanted to add that I think it's also really helpful to not necessarily pick an accent, but pick a country really early on. Because you can pick the specific accent later if you want to like have an accent or something. But picking a country also reduces the difficulty of choosing what to watch or what to immerse in because you can just find stuff from that country. And so in like the case of, well, there's only one country that speaks Czech, although Slovak is a very similar language. But like I can just go to the state media sites or like all the things that are in the Czech Republic and use those and just sort of assume that that is what I can just use those. For Spanish, if you just pick Colombia or Mexico, you can just watch the media that is popular there. And occasionally those are going to be from other countries, but it's a lot easier to focus on that. You can focus on those words. Even though like the written language, it doesn't vary that much and it's pretty easy to pick up. You can also do that later. And it just reduces that decision fatigue and you can start to focus in on something that you potentially have more connection to anyways pretty early on, and then potentially expand it to a specific dialect. Like there are tons of dialects in every single country on earth. And so you will actually likely have to pick something at some point, but you don't have to do that specific like on day one. Plus, most people don't know about all of the various dialects of their target language on day one. They figure that out much, much, much later.
That's true. Country is a lot easier to choose.